Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and we're going to go try to figure out a way for me to be able to ride my E-Trike into what I call town, the business district, and we might even be able to go to a park today where I used to always, friendly dogs, where I used to always go fly my drone. So that's where we're headed. And so hop in, go with us, and I also have a story to tell. Maybe a couple, we'll see. All right, so let's go. All right, here we are. Just crossed the street behind us where we went across last time. We're going to follow the trail we took, and we're going to see if we can find a way to get into town from there. So that's what we're planning on doing. And if you watch that last video, I tend to get lost easily, or I did there on that one, but I think I got it figured out now, so I think we'll be okay. And now we got construction going here. I think I might be able to pass this guy up. I don't know what he's doing. I see what they're doing here. Okay. Maybe I can get down here, go on the sidewalk, and get in that way. Obviously, this is not what I had planned, but we'll make it work. I think I'll go across here, like this, get into here, like this, and I think should be able to find our way. I hope. Well, we get lost in a minute here. Well, anyway, so we'll go back over here, go here, and this should get us to the road. Oh boy, I'm still in Pegasus 4. Okay, I think this is where we want to be. So we're going to go down to the end of this road, and when it gets down near the end, we're going to make a left. So, when I promise to tell stories, I'll be doing that on my bike rides. Stories of things that happened in my life. And so this, I'm just getting started doing it. And so I thought, well, make it easy for me, and I can remember where I am between rides, is I will just do it chronologically. Howdy. And so I have to start with where I was born. I was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. I was born a few months later in April of 1942. So if you have a map or a calendar, you can figure that out. So anyway, I got a cough, hang on. There we go. Okay, we got a truck coming here. I'm going to try to get out of everybody's way. And we're going to go up here and turn right. When I was 4 years old, my folks moved to Seattle, Washington area. They bought a house on 10 acres of wooded land east of Renton, if you know where Renton is in Washington. And they bought a house there, and it had electricity, but it had an old cook stove, a wood cook stove in the kitchen. Didn't have an electric stove, had a wood cook stove. And so, and by the way, I'm following that trail we took last time, and we're going to figure out a way for me to get into town, what I call town. So anyway, so fortunately, my grandma's sister, whose name was my Aunt Chloe, she was a great aunt, had grown up with my grandma in a house in Missouri that had no electricity and had a wood cook stove. So she was used to using it, and so since she lived with me and my family, she did all the cooking. I better get over in a bike lane. So she did all the cooking. And of course, my grandma and grandpa, my grandpa came to see us a lot, and he would go, and by the way, I put a picture up of the cook stove, what it looked like. But my grandpa came, and he came over and chopped the wood, because there's plenty of wood in that wooded area. He chopped the wood, split the wood, made kindling, and all that kind of stuff. Well, being a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, whatever I was at that time, I saw him doing that, and I thought, well, I think I'm going to try that. And here's that lake that we found. I thought, well, I'm going to try that. So I go out there when nobody was around. I pick up the hatchet. I pick up a piece of wood, and I'm going to make kindling. And the first blow, I missed the wood and got my wrist. And believe it or not, the scar is still there. Try to put a picture up of it. And it's still there. Of course, I ran into the house bleeding. And my parents weren't too happy with me, but I learned a lesson. Later in life, I chopped a lot of wood, and we burned wood and coal in 2 different houses where I lived. Now you notice where I'm headed here is different than last time when we were looking for how to get into town, because I looked at a map and I could see that this road came out straight out to the road I'm looking for. And so we'll see. We might be able to get into the park today. So anyway, that was one of the things that happened as I cut myself. So now we're living in this old house, and we lived there for, let's see here. Let's see if I can get around these guys. Okay, I think we can get around. So, when I was, we lived there until probably I was 10 years old or so. And my dad was a genius, and he figured out a way. I don't know if I should tell you this story, but I'll tell you. Anyway, he figured out a way to take the blade. Well, I won't even go into that. But anyway, he figured a way to sharpen the old lawnmowers that you push. And I was watching him how he did it. And then eventually I end up cutting the tip of my finger off. I have to take a picture of that. Cutting the tip of my finger off. Trying to do what my dad was doing to sharpen it. So it looks like I'm going to be able to get into town on this road as long as they let me go along here. And we'll see if I can get here. Get up through here. Well, that's kind of you got to be careful. I got to make sure that I'm not going to tip the bike over. Okay. We're going to the park. How about that? All right. So anyway, we lived in that house until I was about 10 years old. And I don't think they ever got a new stove or anything. And my dad worked for United Airlines, and that was the reason that we moved to Washington, because they transferred him from Cheyenne to Boeing Field there in Seattle, and so he got a job there, or his job was there. So eventually we moved closer into town, and my folks bought this great big house. But anyway, it was huge. And my grandma and grandpa and my Aunt Chloe and my Aunt Janice all came to live with us. So we had 10 people living in that house. And it was big enough for all of us. And it had once been lived in by the governor of the state of Washington. And so it was a pretty fancy house. And so my had lots of bedrooms, and my bedroom was in the room for the butler or the maid or whatever it was. And so morning. And so I had access to the attic from my room. Had a door, you open the door and you go up into the attic, which was big and huge like you see in the movies. It had a floor and everything. And then I also had access through a spiral staircase down to the kitchen and on down to the basement. And so it was kind of neat. I could do a lot of things from my room. And so anyway, so we lived in that house for about 5 years. And when I was in, I was in high school when they moved, and they moved halfway through my sophomore year of high school. And so I finished out high school going to Garfield High School in Seattle, and then transferred to Highline High School out south of Seattle, because my folks moved to a house closer to the airport. I don't know if this is going to make sense. I might just leave this part out. All right, so anyway, we're getting to the park here pretty soon, and I'll show you the park that I used to always go to fly my drones. And one of the things when we lived in the house in town that the governor had lived in, it was only about 20-minute walk from that house to downtown Seattle. And you could take the bus, and it cost you a dime, or you could walk. And so I used to always walk downtown, and I better tell you, I was the richest kid on the block, because what I did was I had paper routes. As I was in junior high, I had paper routes, and I also mowed lawns in the summertime. And then I also, believe it or not, there was a Safeway store, and it wasn't like you see nowadays. It was a lot smaller, and the parking lot was a lot smaller. And every Saturday morning, I'd take a roll of paper towels, put a string through it, put it around my waist, and then I had a little squirt bottle. And when people came in to park their cars, I would walk over to where they were parking their car, and we're getting close to the park. ask them if they want their windows washed while they were shopping for a nickel. And so they would say, you know, this was a long time ago. So they leave their car unlocked, and I'd get in there and, or you know, walk around or whatever I had to do to clean all the windows on the car. There, I think we just made it. Okay. And so I jumped the gun here. I should have waited a little while and then got up on the sidewalk. So we're going to get off the sidewalk here. Anyway, haven't been here for a while. Anyway, so they'd come out, their windows were all nice and clean, and usually they'd give me a dime or a quarter. So every Saturday I made money. I made money mowing lawns and delivering papers. Here's a place I need to go up, right here. And so I was doing pretty good. I bought all the latest cap guns and toys and stuff with my own money. And then I also, with my paper route, let's see if I can get around this corner without crashing here, because we are at the park. There's the park right there. This is where I used to always come to fly my drone. In fact, I've already put up an intro to a video previously where I was running along following my drone, and it crashed into a lady walking on the sidewalk. It was all a fake thing, but anyway, that's where that film was. And I see a tractor coming here, so I'm going to wait till he gets past. Anyway, so when we were living there in the Seattle area in that big old house, there's a lot of experiences from there. Oh, they want to come up here. Just a second, I'll get out of your way. There you go. Thanks. I thought they were gardeners. They're just out having fun like us. So anyway, this is the park, and now I know we can come here. We'll start a video from here, and I'll show you some things. Just over this hill on the right is a big, huge area called the Queen Creek Wash, and I have to show you that. So we'll be going on some bike rides, and I'll tell you some more stories. And for now, I'm glad to get here, be able to get here. I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.